And welcoming on to Big Drive Energy, a guy that is a professional golfer and former Iowa Hawkeye. So basically everything Mitchell and I wanted to be when we grew up. This guy's done it. Vince India, welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
So, Vince, you grew up in Chicago. You're in Chicago now. You just told us there's about to be a massive snowstorm. Were you when you started your golf career, was that at a super young age, or how did you get excited about golf and get into golf?
I started when I was 9 or 10 and not terribly young compared to most guys, but it was it was a function because I couldn't play team sports as a kid because I was so small and frail growing up. Like basketball was out of the question, football was very out of the question. So I played some funny team sports like travel soccer. And then I got into golf through my dad, and it was something that I kind of just enjoyed because it was I could do it by myself. Team sports wasn't necessarily my thing growing up, like I said. So I really enjoyed the fact that I could go out there and play by myself and get better on my own, not rely on other people.
That's sick, dude. So growing up in Chicago, obviously we're going to get into Hawkeyes, things like that, because we're both big Hawks fans. But were you like a Northwestern guy? I know it says you were born in Deerfield, correct? Which is like a
Yeah,
northwest suburb.
yeah, it's close to Evanston, not terribly far. But growing up, my dad went to Illinois, and they were number one on my school to go to play golf for. But it didn't pan out that way, unfortunately. It would have been a real treat to play golf at the University of Illinois, and I'm sure my dad would have loved it over going to the Hawkeyes, unfortunately. But that was the team that was shoved down our throats growing up. Like, you're an Illini fan, blah 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 blah. Do everything that you can to be an Illini. And both my sister and I went to Iowa. Yeah.
That's
What
great. Go
so
ahead.
what was it like going to Iowa, and what was that process like? When did you start getting recruited, right as you were starting high school, or did it take a little bit longer to get that letter essentially, and were there a lot of schools interested in you?
Yeah, it took me a little bit longer than other guys. There's a fall signing period and then a spring signing period for golf. And I whittled it down to two universities, Notre Dame and Michigan State. And there was a little bit of a miscommunication between the coaches where they both thought I verbally committed to the other. And all of a sudden, like that, both of my top schools just vanished. And I was left without a place to sign in December of 2006, believe it or not. That's wow, that's 16 years. Oh my God, that's awful to say that in person. But I didn't sign anywhere in the fall, and playing in junior stuff that winter, I was just desperate to get on a team, and Iowa just fired their head coach for general incompetency and lack of just lack of success. So uh, I jumped right on board when the assistant came in, and he's like, "We need some guys out of state, out of the Cedar Rapids area." And I said, "Fine, put me on that team. I don't care at that point." And luckily enough, the coach I wanted to play for at Michigan State ended up transferring to Iowa, and he was my coach for 4 years. So that worked out really well, and we turned that program around pretty quickly.
That's badass. So I got to ask, I think it may have been a little, or maybe it was right around the time you were in school. Was that when Illinois was an absolute wagon? Was that when they had like
Yeah,
just ridiculous recruits left and right? Like all those guys are on the PGA Tour. It's crazy.
yeah, still are, obviously. There's the recruiting class that I had to go up against was like Luke Guthrie, Scott Langley, Chris DeForest, who doesn't play anymore now, but was a very talented junior player and college player. Thomas Peters was on that team, and just general studs. Like, no one on that team is average at golf. So they were. I mean, they might have won the Big Ten maybe 7 years in a row at some point through that
Holy shit.
span. Yeah, it was really annoying, but their lack of success in the postseason, I can I would like to think it would have been avoided if Mike Small recruited me. So I always like to hang that in the back of my head, like, you guys never made a run NCAA's because you didn't recruit me yet. So that's on him.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was it ever awkward, or like, did you actually talk to your coach, your ended up being coach from Michigan State, and be like, dude, what happened there? Like, how does that get
Yeah.
miscommunicated?
I don't know. We never really talked about it, but I do remember the first interaction, and we're like, "Hey, coach, good to see you. This ought to be fun." Yeah,
So
we're here. This is us.
are you since your sister went to Iowa too, are you the older sibling and the first one to go? So then
Yeah.
she just followed you there, and you're like, oh, well, we're Iowa people now. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm not sure why she followed me. I think she visited me maybe once or twice, and she did have a lot of mutual friends go there as well. So, and maybe to spite my father a little bit, which is always kind of funny. So it worked out great. Like I hang out with a lot of my college friends, and so does she. So we're all pretty tight knit.
Okay, so since we're talking Hawkeyes, well, I read somewhere you said when you got to that program, it was like a glorified high school team. Did I read that right? Oh, wait, I think we just lost you for a sec. So I don't know if you heard the question, my last question, but I read somewhere that you said Iowa was like a glorified high school program. When you got there, the golf team was not that great. And it sounds like you turned it around. You were like, what, first or second team Big Ten for a couple years. So give us like an idea of what the turning around the program looks like. And then also just tell us like how much fun it was to go to Iowa, who like your favorite football player was, all that stuff. Cause that's just the shit that we love. And like, we wish we went to Iowa for that reason. So
the golf team was like, I can't even explain to you how non-competitive they were. It was genuinely, if you compiled the best high school golfers from the Cedar Rapids area and then put them on a golf team together.
Oh, lost Vince.
Are we doing okay with connection here?
We just lost you after you said Cedar Rapids.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do. I'm right next to my router. All right. So I'll just start over from that question because you guys can edit it. So I can't explain to you like how non-competitive the golf team was. If you put the best players from the Cedar Rapids area onto a golf team together and equip them with a major alcoholism problem, that's what our golf team was. It was really bad. There was a couple guys there that would show up hungover to workouts and practices, and there was a lot of work to be done. So immediately coach started trimming the fat, and you could see it too. These guys were a semester in, and you kind of could see the looks on their faces like, we're not coming back next semester, are you? And coach started cleaning up the roster really quickly, and throughout the years he brought in a couple key transfers and then recruited fairly well. And by the time that I was a senior, we finished 10th in nationals, which was 2 shots out of that final 8, which gets you into match play. We made NCAAs 2 out of 4 years, which is pretty incredible for Iowa golf since we weren't even on the map. Finished runner-up in the Big Ten to Illinois, obviously. And myself and another guy were the first people to be named All-Americans for 15 to 20 years. So it was a pretty cool time to be a part of Iowa golf, and I just hope they can get back to there at some point. But to answer your question, who's my favorite Hawkeye football players? Freshman year, I was directly next to Mike Daniels in the dorm rooms. And our thing when we were growing up, or not even growing up, when we were in the dorms partying, we would play Mario Kart and drink Keystone Light till we blacked out, more or less. And we would get a 30 rack of Keystone Light and park our asses in the dorms and play Mario Kart until we would fall asleep essentially.
That's awesome, dude. And I bet a guy like Mike can probably drink a real good amount.
Oh,
sorry.
You're fine, bro. No sweat.
Where was the last thing?
You're basically just saying you guys blacked out and played Mario Kart.
That was our stick. Like we would get a 30 rack of Keystone Light, park ourselves in the dorm room, and then we would drift until we fall asleep. And every now and then, Mike Daniels and a couple of his buddies would pop in, and they would hop on the sticks with us for a couple of rounds. So he was always really cool to us. He would shoot the shit for a half hour, then be on his way, go to sleep, and he was a fun guy to hang out with a ton. I had a couple classes with Riley Reef. He was a good dude. We took this class called Relaxation Techniques together, and you pretty much got credits for taking naps. It was pretty awesome.
That sounds like the best class ever.
Yeah, I got to sleep next to Riley Reef. It was really cool. So.
I'm sure some other people in your dorm did that too. It just wasn't in the class. So
yeah, I know exactly. But no, he was a good dude. But I didn't really get too close to many of the football players. There was like a run of years where there was a couple guys tied up with some squirrely shit. So I stuck to the golf team and some other friends.
Hell yeah, dude. That sounds like so much fun. So talking golf now, you're on the Korn Ferry Tour. You turned pro in what year was it? 2013?
2011.
2011. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've been playing professionally for a while. So you've had Korn Ferry Tour status for the most part. You've played in a handful of PGA Tour events. Mm-hmm. One event it looks like you've played in is the John Deere Classic 2018, it sounds like. And going to Iowa, being an Iowa boy, how much fun was that? And was that the year Jordan Spieth won it? No, that was before that.
I'm not entirely sure who won it. I think Jordan – that was his first tour, and it had to be like 16 or 17, maybe at 15, even a couple before.
Yeah, I think you're right. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't 18, but I don't know. That just always sticks out in my head because that was like his first tour start, and then he wins it. And
yeah,
so
it's a good event, honestly. The town is kind of small. The Quad Cities, it's in the middle of nowhere. The golf course is, but they draw a really good crowd. It's obviously the salt of the earth people. They all love golf. They're all friendly. They're all really into it. So the event itself is a really awesome time, and it was good to see a lot of Iowa guys out there. There's a couple Hawkeyes in the event. I think maybe 3 or 4 of us. One was through a sponsor invite, and then another one of us qualified. So we had a pretty strong showing, and it was good to see some black and gold out there. It was nice.
Yeah. So are you like fully Iowa now? No Illinois connection at all? You're just like, hey, Dad, sorry, we're Hawkeyes now.
Yeah, I hate Illinois. Yeah, yeah. It's like the older my dad gets, he's retired and he's got nothing to do but like surf Facebook and look up really shitty memes. So he'll send it in the group chats just to stir stuff, and everyone. My brother-in-law went to Iowa. One of my cousins went to Iowa. So it's like. It's getting old. Like at this point, he needs to give up.
I mean, yeah, just clearly a better school all the way around.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
So we actually have some family in Waterloo, Iowa, and
nice.
That is home to one of the biggest like mini tour events in America.
Yeah.
I never got to play in it. It always I think it's actually the same weekend as the Colorado Open this year, which kind of sucks. They're two of like the best mini tour events, biggest purses, things like that. But have you ever played in the Waterloo Open?
Yeah, I played in it once. It was very early in my career, like 2012 or 13. I did the whole like Iowa Open, Waterloo Open, probably Cedar Rapids Open as well. You just kind of make a loop out of those 3 and make it worth your while. But yeah, that's a funny tournament. The golf course is 5,800 yards longer, or something like that, 59, 6,000. It's a total shootout. So it's I don't think I played particularly well, but you got to go and do it if you're a mini tour player. You absolutely have to.
For sure. Well, I looked it up last year. The winning score for 3 days was 27 under.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
That's fucking absurd. And then I think the cut after 2 days was 6 under. So you got to play pretty decent. Although I've heard it's basically a pitch and putt, relatively speaking. You know, like you just got to wedge it really close and putt well.
Yeah, but still, like you got to shoot some pretty ballsy scores out there. And I haven't looked at the list of winners, but boy, if you're shooting 27 under par for 3 rounds. Like, you got game. And I'm sure there's a lot of guys who've won that tournament that are playing somewhere on the next level too. That's just good golf. Doesn't matter what it is.
100%. Yeah. That on a fucking putt course is really good. I don't care where it is. 27. It's just absurd.
Colorado was a pretty fun tournament too. I played in that one year. I think the same year I qualified for John Deere 2018, about 5 years ago now. That's a great tournament. I played with Drew Love in the second to last group when he won. And I'll never forget how he really tried to throw away this golf tournament. And I'll never forget the last 2 holes he played. It was pretty unfathomable.
Well, now you got to tell us, because I mean, I've qualified and I haven't, and I really don't like that golf course. I think Green Valley Ranch kind of sucks in my opinion, just for what good golf courses we have out here in Colorado, and we'll get into that. But I don't really think it's that great of a layout to have like the biggest state open in America at.
Yeah, I could agree.
You got to tell us how Drew Love tried to piss it away.
He had it going all day. He was rolling it nice, not making any mistakes, and he was a few ahead of me, and I knew we were fairly close. There were leaderboards randomly throughout the golf course, and I could tell he was in the lead, and I had a couple back. I just needed to make a few birdies coming in. That never happened, but he had maybe a 1 or 2 stroke lead going into the 16th hole, and there's a pin, maybe it was 15 or 16. It's the one the dog legs right. There's a pin over a bunker near the water that you just don't even look at. And he looked at it. He flailed a shot over there. It bounced toward the water, but stayed up somehow, like within the hazard. And he ended up getting it up and down, which is like a miracle in itself, because that was a pretty hard shot to get within a couple feet. And then kind of futzed around, made some pretty easy pars on the next 2 holes. He gets on the 18th hole, and I'm pretty much out of it. I know I'm like 3 back at this point. And he hits driver. He hooks it. And there's a cart path going on that left side where that little stupid pond is for no reason. He hits it left of the cart path in between the water, and it like plugs in the rough. And I watched it stop rolling. I go, that's just the luckiest thing I've ever seen. That's like a 5-yard wide gap that the ball just refused to bounce. And then I hit my shot on the green. I'm watching him figure out what the hell to do, and he lays up in that silly bunker that like winds around the marsh with the fence, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm about 100 yards ahead of him, just watching this play out. He lays up in the bunker, gets in there, and he's standing over figuring out what to do for like 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. He pulls the club, and he tops his bunker shot. It went like 10 feet. And now I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is a disaster. Like that couldn't have moved more than a couple yards. And he's got virtually the exact same shot, except he's closer to that fence. Because you know how that wooden fence comes in, like protects you from the wetlands. Like, don't go in here. This is a protected area. Now he's like within a couple feet of this fence. And I'm up by the green, and I look at my camera like, oh my God, there's puke all over his shoes. Like, I don't know what the hell's about. Like, anything could happen at this point. He might make a 12. And before I could finish another sentence, he pulls out a gap wedge and hits this towering shot to like 2 inches and makes it par.
Oh my God.
And I looked at my camera, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, he played the sloppiest hole of golf I think I've ever played in my life, in my life. And he's going to walk out of here with a 1-shot win. Remarkable. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a long time. But that's the kind of who he is. He's a big
So do you kind of relating that to this past weekend? We're pretty avid bettors, and we bet on every golf tournament. And we had Chris Kirk this past weekend. Do you watch the PGA Tour when you're not playing?
I do, yeah.
You're not playing on the weekend?
Yeah, I do like watching the tour just because I'm just genuinely interested in how they portray their product, as they call it. I'm the chairman of the Player Advisor Council on the Korn Ferry Tour, so I feel like it's my job to, I guess, look at golf in a different lens and make sure I can provide some feedback if asked. But I do watch a lot of golf. I was watching PGA Tour live this morning. And if it's on, I'll put it on. I really don't have a problem. Usually I just put it on mute if anything to avoid the announcers.
Yeah, that's a good.
So you think the announcers suck as much as we do?
It's really bad, yeah.
It's brutal, man.
It's bad. I just wish they would shut up. But they don't need to talk. Just I want ambient noise in the background sometimes, you know?
Yeah. The sad part is a lot of the time they're feeding like I wouldn't call it misinformation. I mean, it's not politics or what, you know, it's not that serious, but it's like they're not actually being factual with what they're just making the general golf audience dumber for listening to them, which is pretty unfortunate. Like, I'm pretty sure Brandel Chambly has got us blocked on all social media. He's just brutal to listen to. There's so many other guys where you're just like, what the fuck are you saying, man? Like, you're making everybody dumber for listening to it.
Yeah, they talk when they don't need to talk, and there's less is so much more, in my opinion, sometimes when you're watching golf specifically. But I don't know, they'll figure it out hopefully. There's a couple new additions. Like, I think the team of Colt Knost and Smiley are doing a great job. I think those guys are great personalities, but don't get me wrong, like, golf is pretty hard to watch sometimes.
Yeah, I think the cool part about the infusion of a guy like Colt Knost and Smiley Kaufman is like they have played like on the current tour. You know, some of these older guys that have been on, they're like, oh yeah, I was on the tour, in like 1970 or whatever it ends up being. Colt Knost is like fresh off the golf course and like played with a lot of these dudes, so he offers a much better perspective from that lens versus like these 80-year-old dudes that are like, oh yeah, when I hit a persimmon wood up to the the right bunker. It's like, okay, dude, your take is old and
they're just normal dudes too. Like, Smiley's a pretty normal guy that went through some tough shit in his golf career, and Colt is obviously Colt. He's a good hang, and I'm sure he fits in with any circle of friends too. So it's nice to see like just normal guys talking about golf, and it's not some, I don't know, just some stuck up old waspy white haired guy, you know, spewing bad shit nonsense.
Yeah. So are you thinking the same thing I was on 18 when Kirk hits 3-wood and rinsed it? What the fuck are you doing, dude?
I know. That's pretty nuts. Like, five's probably going to get you the win there. So you kind of just blast it over left of that bunker. But hey, that was probably the only shot he hit right all week. Like, every ball he's hit pretty much his entire life turns to the left, and that's the one that doesn't. So that's the crazy thing. So, but he's a good dude. I'm happy for him. We had a little battle. I wouldn't even call it a battle. He smoked me in a final round a couple years ago to beat me by a few, but that was right when he came back from his little bout with alcoholism. So I'm happy for him, and he's a good dude. So I don't mind seeing him having success.
Yeah, and he's out there leading today after the first round, him and Cam Young. So
isn't that something? Yeah.
Yeah, he's rolling now. It's crazy when you see these guys get hot, and especially a guy like Chris Kirk won 7 years ago, but then wins now, and now it's like, watch out. Like, you can see, like, who knows if ever we're going to see a Scotty Scheffler type of run again. John Rahm's kind of doing that stuff, but like once a player's dialed in, and I'm sure you've been in zones where you're like, oh man, like I don't think anybody out here can beat me.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Like, you'll find yourself making the majority of your money either on the PGA Tour or the Korn Ferry Tour within like a month and a half window, where your touch is really good. Like, you just kind of find the zone with your irons. Like, you just hit your numbers consistently, and then all of a sudden, like, you start hooping putts too. So it's everyone finds the vortex now and then throughout the year. It just, hopefully it comes at the right times,
100%. You just got to ride those highs. So speaking of players that you've played with, give us one dude. 2-part question. Don't want to throw too much in here. Just one dude that you played with, and you're just like, holy shit, this guy's built different. Like, this guy, even as good as you are, you felt like he was maybe on a different level than you. Like, this dude is unlike anything I've ever seen. And then give us a guy that like is sneaky cool to have like a beer with, like, that you didn't think you'd enjoy, but you ended up really enjoying.
I remember we're going way back. It's I was in college right before I turned pro. I was in China playing in the university games, and we got paired with the Japanese in the second round, and I was paired with Hideki Matsuyama, and they were wearing capris with like Strixon yellow visors, and he had spiked hair. I was like, what's going on? Who are these guys? And he shot 62, and I thought, holy shit. I mean, I don't know. Is this guy a pro? Is he an amateur? I have no idea who this is, but I saw some stuff I've never seen in my entire life, and I felt extraordinarily inadequate at that moment in time playing golf next to this dude. Like, everything he did was so much better than what I was doing. And yeah, I felt really small in that time span.
did he still have that, like, well, his eccentric, like, pause at the top type swing? Is that how
It was more so. It was way more pronounced at that point.
Really?
It was a full blown, like, he sped it up a little bit in transition. Like, we're talking milliseconds, but you would probably be able to, like, as soon as he got to the top, you could probably, like, put something on the top of his club head for a brief second, and then he would just absolutely mash it. It was very noticeable, and so it was like something I've never seen before.
Yeah, that dude seems like, and I mean, at least you can look back now with the career he's had and be like, okay, so he's actually gotten to the point that it seemed like he could get to. So
yeah, I kind of saw that coming. Like, I feel like I'm going to see that guy doing some really cool things in the game of golf. So
you should have put a betting future on him to win a major in the next 10 years or some shit, like Rory's dad.
Yeah. God, silly me, all broke and having no money. Let's go put a betting future on someone I just met.
That's kind of insider information a little bit, though. You play with somebody and you're like, holy shit, they're
yeah. Don't tell the PGA Tour we're not supposed to gamble on golf either. So
fuck that.
Yeah. But to answer the other part of your question, there's a few people that I would prefer to hang out with if I'm traveling tournament to tournament. It's not a lot. I like to hang out with the caddies more so than other players. I mean, these guys are, like, technically my coworkers. Like, my friends are in Chicago, my friends are in Denver. Like, I don't consider a whole lot of guys on tour to be my friends, but I really enjoy Evan Harmeling. I've known him for a long time. We played on Latin America together, more or less traveled the world, stayed together a dozen times or so. And he's an awesome dude, free spirit, very well educated, went to Princeton, played golf. So, like, I enjoy just shooting the shit with him, talking about absolute nonsense. Sam Saunders is a good hang too. Really enjoy his company. He's a normal dude, lives in Colorado Springs, I think. So he's got a pretty similar worldview. But those two guys, if I were to go and grab a beer with any of those two, it would be Evan and Sam.
Nice.
Yeah, so speaking of hanging out with caddies, they seem like fun guys, but apparently you had a caddy that didn't want to hang out with you, and just dipped on you. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, that was in Q school. That was first stage in 2017 or 18, I would like to say. We were in Dothan, Alabama, which is just an absolute horrible place. But in the middle of August, it's 90 degrees. There's no wind moving. It's 100% humidity, so it feels like it's 105 or so. And the guy I hired was a little bit of an older fellow, but at the same time, he's done this his entire life. He knows how to hoof a bag, and I'm not sure if he was under the weather or a little hungover, but I'm riding the cut line pretty hard going in the first stage, like, kind of had a pretty shaky first couple holes, made a sloppy double at some point. And I know where I am going into the back nine, and I could tell in the front he was just lagging behind a little bit, not doing well. And at the turn, he goes, I can't make the back nine button. I go, whoa. I would have rather have you quit before this round even started.
Yeah.
Instead of the beginning of the back nine, where I need to kind of make something happen to get through the first stage of Q school. And he couldn't do it, which is understandable. I could see it. Like, he was pretty gassed at the moment, whatever was going on. But I shot 400 that nine and got through somehow. But that was a little stressful, in my opinion. Like, there's better times for someone to quit on you, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably never a good time for that, but with what you were trying to deal with, and then I assume you just picked up your own bag and just started hoofing it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is the guy that I was staying with was like this 70-year-old like dairy farmer. He's like, Vince, I'll pick up the bag for him. Like, Jesus, Mike, no, it's gonna be okay. Like, I don't need two people dying on me in one day. Just go ahead and walk around. Everything's gonna be just fine. Like, I'll figure it out. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, can't get much worse. Jesus.
I was gonna say, like with those heat indexes, they're like old people. They tell them to stay inside because they could die.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
I guess you can't fully knock the dude for. I mean, obviously not cool to dip out on you, but you'd probably rather have that than him having a heart attack in 2 holes or whatever.
Yeah, the more I look back on it, I was like, boy, I was probably for the best. I've get inside for some air conditioning. That was the last thing. I didn't need to look after somebody and then worry about somebody while I'm worrying about myself and worrying about it. It would have been awful.
Oh, yeah, it just does not sound like a good situation in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of sifted through your Twitter. You're a good follow. You don't tweet that often, but there's definitely some tweets that I liked. Well, first of all, I was going to say, if you ever need any tips on gaining weight, we're right here. So we can.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, we can help you with that. You follow me around for a week, you'll be up 10 pounds easy. It seems like you like Scotch by some of your tweets.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some of your favorite Scotches. What else are you into? We're both connoisseurs of brown and clear liquids of the sorts.
You don't discriminate when it comes to booze?
No, I don't have a preference as long as it's getting me hammered. So
the first Scotch that I ever tried, which is the Scotch that really got me hooked, was Lagavulin. That's not true. It was Lafroig. I'm sorry. The Lafroig double cast strength. Jesus, that was so long ago. It was 10 years ago that I first tried Scotch. And Lafroig is a very peaty and earthy. It feels like you've taken a campfire and shoved it in your mouth. And for some reason, I really enjoy that. And a lot of my friends are bourbon drinkers. They're like the guys in Jacksonville a lot of them are from Tennessee and Indiana and Kentucky, and they love bourbon, but I like Scotch a ton. I think it's a little bit more well-rounded of a flavor. I enjoy like the smoky campfire bit to it. Lafroig 10-year was one of my it's always one of my go-tos, and in fact, at the moment as well. So that's usually always on my shelf. But I won't hesitate to have a bourbon every now and then. It kind of depends on the situation. Like if I go out to dinner, I'll have several gin martinis and then get thrown out. And that's about it. And if I'm, if I want to drink beer, I'll drink beer too. So
I like the vibe. My one thing with Scotch is the hangovers just get fucking wicked, especially if you.
Really? Huh.
Okay, I gotta preface it with like, we'll always one of our like uncles growing up. He's not technically our uncle, but our by friendship of my mom's, our like uncle. He always we actually would drink Lagavulin. That was his Scotch of preference.
That's tough. Yeah.
So we drink Lagavulin, and then we would smoke cigars.
Oh,
and this was like, I mean, we do this once a year. It's just like we stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning, have way too much to drink, smoke stogies, and like, and I think it's the stogie that really accentuates it and like really ruins it for you the next morning. But that's my one thing with Scotch is just like the hangovers sometimes, because it feels like, and you probably know more than I do, but like the peatiness of it. It just gets to you, and when you're
hungry, it kind of stays with you. I know what you mean.
Exactly,
it just lingers. Like it's there. I love Scotch. There's a very high correlation of me drinking Scotch and playing really good golf. So I have a couple of really funny stories. I'll make it really quick. Q school finals one year in Arizona. I was futzing around like I was. In mid hundreds, like 120 to 130 with 2 rounds of the car at this really easy desert golf course. And my buddy Brad, who's down there as well, playing, and he goes to me, Vince, what's going on? I was like, oh, I don't know. I just feel like I'm playing shit golf and I haven't been drinking a whole lot. He's like, what are you talking about? You haven't been drinking? I'm like, yeah, I just took a break kind of. And he goes, all right, we're going to go have dinner and you're going to drink 4 scotches. And then I did exactly that. And I shot 63 the next day and moved up like 90 spots on the leaderboard. So that's that has happened a few times actually, but that's probably the most recent since I haven't drank a whole lot. It's once you get to 30 years old, man, it's just hangovers. Like the thought of even being hungover makes me hungover. So
it's not worth the pain you put yourself through anymore.
No, it's I used to be able to tolerate it really well. Even the place I would go to do second stage at Q school in Brooksville, Florida, I would stay with an awesome family every year for 4 or 5 years straight. We would have 3 fingers of scotch every night, wake up the next morning and shoot 3 to 4 under every round and just move on gracefully through second stage. And that's not the cards anymore for some reason.
That's fire. You just look forward to going down to Florida to drink scotch and enjoy yourself. And then
now I need to stretch. I need to meditate. I need my green juice in the morning. I need my matcha. I need to burn sage. I'm just a huge pussy all of a sudden. God, what have I been?
Dude, I feel you on a much less better golfing level. Like I'm about to be 30 and it's just like I've tried to drink every other day. I've tried to make that a thing. But then like I drank a good amount last night, a couple of margaritas. And my problem is I never like drink the same thing. So that's really not a good play. I'll have like a margarita and then I'll switch to a vodka soda. Then I'll have a beer, then a seltzer.
Yeah.
And I woke up this morning at 3 a.m. and was like crawling to my fucking fridge to get water. I was
Where's
like,
my Xanax? Like, help me. I need a bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Spence, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah. So you are hilarious on Twitter. Is that like a bit, or you just don't care? You're just like you just like to say, like
I
get out there and.
I don't have a whole lot of thoughts anymore. Like I was pretty active in the last couple of years, but like part of me is like, how active should I be? Like I don't want it to be like an enormous presence. I feel like it's a waste of energy sometimes, but every now and then I'll have something absolutely ridiculous come into my mind, and whether it's like watching golf or I'm with a buddy and I'm like, well, that clearly needs to be stated on Twitter. And then as the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, well, let's just put that in the draft section and wait till tomorrow morning and see if that's still a good idea. But
it almost sounds like there's a correlation between how much you drank and how much you tweeted.
There was definitely plenty of times where I'm scrolling through my time. I'm like, delete that too. Oh my dear God, that needs to go as well. What were we doing last night?
Oh yeah. That's we're both big Denver fans. So if you, I don't know if I would recommend following Spencer on Twitter because he just goes on. You can just tell when he's a little sauced up and he goes on Nuggets rants and starts, and then he's got a burner account that nobody knows about, and he starts. Ooh. Yeah, he runs deep.
You're trolling, aren't you?
That one's fun.
Part is he's almost 30. Like you've realized at your age, you're like, okay, I need to dial it back. He's like leaning into it. Like his wife's 4 months pregnant at this, 5 months pregnant, and he's just like going further down. So.
I love it. Who cares? No brakes, baby. All gas.
It's commitment.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no looking back now.
So kind of we actually followed you at the now it's called the Ascendant. I think 2 years ago maybe it was called something different up here in Berthoud, and just kind of want to get your thoughts. We followed you through basically like 14 through 18, I want to say, on Sunday.
Cool.
In 2021, and it was funny because we were just hanging out watching some good golf and
I was playing well.
You were playing really well.
Yeah, you balled out.
Sure.
And I saw somebody in your family had the Hawkeye stuff, so that was one of the things we were like, oh, we were kind of gravitated towards that, and then cool. we were just following you around during that whole round. But
I think we ended up talking to your wife for a period of time.
Yeah, Megan was probably out there. I know my sister was out there too. She wrangled up a whole bunch of people, which is cool. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Did you see what they did this year? I'm sorry to segue.
No, you're good.
My sister brought out a bunch of friends on Saturday, and each of them was wearing a T-shirt with my face on it, but they were all different faces of me making stupid faces from Facebook. It was really dumb, but really funny at the same time. They were hooligans. They were getting drunk, doing other things on the golf course. I'm like, that's my crew. That's all right.
Yeah, that's got to be good vibes for you. Like everybody out there watching you, you're like, I got to play well. Like,
I never play bad in front of my sister's my good luck charm. I always play good when she's around, and it was good vibes whenever that whole group is. But sorry to interrupt, Spence.
No, you're good, man. So what is your thoughts on TPC Colorado and how it compares to some of the other courses on the Korn Ferry Tour?
It's a top 5 golf course for sure. And in general, I think it might be my favorite tournament of the year.
Damn.
I just like going to Colorado. I have family there, lots of friends as well. So it's, I stay with my sister, so everything's all Hakuna Matata there. And I really like the golf course. It's very different than what we play throughout the year. So it asks a little bit more of your golf game compared to some other the golf courses that we play out throughout the year. It's longer. You got to hit some pretty demanding iron shots. The greens are firm and fast, so it's very a unique challenge for us. And I still think it's easily top 3 amongst everyone unanimously, but probably my favorite tournament.
Wow, that's pretty cool to hear that, because we really don't know, where everybody stands, because Colorado has kind of been shunned from professional golf because of the whole distance theory of altitude. They don't think you can make a course long enough to play in Colorado. So like, do you think yardage wise it's pretty adequate? Like, honestly, and I'm not a long hitter, Spencer's a fairly long hitter, but like 17 and 18 out there both play like over 5 bills as par 4. So
it's plenty long. Let me tell you, there's a par 3 that's 280 yards, and I mean it doesn't play that, but still, it's even an elevation that you hit. The thing I like about this place is like you get to hit all the clubs in your bag. You're just not ripping wedges and just hitting your 4-iron over and over again. You go through your bag throughout the entire round, and that's what I like about that golf course. It's got a lot of variety to it.
So is there like extra? Do you notice the guys like in the locker room and stuff that week, or is there extra preparation that goes into that, or because of the yardage differences and how it plays, or is it kind of just like a normal week and they just deal with it?
I think it's kind of a normal week. If anything, guys they'll bring out their track bands and their flight scopes and their Foresight GC quads on the range, which are all those radar devices, and they'll just try to dial some yardages in to make sure the altitude they have a good idea if it's 10, 12, 15% at times. If anything, there's a little bit more preparation on the range just to figure out how far the ball is going at certain times of the day.
Yeah, that is the weird thing is I think people started to find out that with elevation, the higher you hit it, the further it goes. So like wedges, you'll catch some crazy ass flyers on. Like drivers, you're going to gain, maybe 5 to 10%, but there's a few like short irons or wedges where you just catch them and they go 20, 25 yards further than you thought they would. So I want to transition back to Chicago real quick, because I think that Chicago is probably one of the best cities in America for golf.
Sure is.
So give us like your top few courses. Like I had a friend whose dad's a member at like Cog Hill, and then you've got Medina, you've got there's just like Jarvis Farms, there's just championship golf all over the place.
That's funny. So all 3 of those golf courses you just said aren't even in my top 10 in Chicago, but you can consider those are the ones that are like the ones that have hosted majors and big championships. Like obviously Medina is about to blow up number 3 and completely reconceptualize their golf course and what it's going to look like. But in my opinion, I haven't played Chicago golf yet. That's like I haven't really got out to yet. But Shore Acres, in no particular order: Shore Acres, Old Elm, Skokie, Butler National, and probably Olympia Fields, the North Court. So those are my top 5 right there. I'm pretty partial to the north side of Chicago. They like the topography on the lake there. You got the ravines at Shea Acres, and you got some really cool designers and what old school golf more or less up there on the north side of Chicago. We're spoiled, that's for sure.
Yeah, you feel it feels like you can turn just about anywhere in Chicago, and you've got good golf. I think I made a mistake though. Is Butler National is the men's only club, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one who I have a friend that their dad's a member at, and I guess that's just insane because we have one men's only club left out here in Denver.
Which one's that?
It's called Bear Creek.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, it's actually probably the hardest course in Colorado. Like Arnold Palmer designed it, and before he passed, the owner had him back out to like redesign it, and he wanted to make it harder. And Arnold Palmer flat out told him, he's like, "I'm not making this place any harder." Like,
wow, that's cool.
It's not a long course, but it's super demanding. I shot 1 over par out there the first time I played it, and I was playing with 4 other plus handicaps, and I was the only one that broke 80. Like,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, well, if you ever come to Chicago, we can go play Butler, and then I happen to be a member out there, so we can do like a breaking 80 challenge if you guys want. Because maybe breaking 90 from the tips because it's fucking impossible.
Oh my God. So we definitely got to get that on the books. We got to come out and play some golf in Chicago.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. We would do it right.
Hell yeah.
Love that. So like being from Chicago, where it's, now we're living in such a different world now where, in Denver here where we live, there's a million simulators and all that stuff popping up. So kids have no problem practicing all winter. What was it like even going to Iowa? Did they have like a good facility where you guys could just swing all year round, or were you do they take you to different places, Florida, Arizona, stuff like that, where you can play? Because it feels like the kids in Arizona, and granted, that's why most players move there now. But they have a distinct advantage over, back in the day. Of course, now with all the simulator stuff, the technology's off the charts, and there's a simulator popping up on every corner here in Denver, it seems like. But what was that like to be able to try to practice and become a professional golfer like you did when you can't play year round?
Yeah, it's honestly, I didn't mind taking time off in the wintertime. Like we grinded pretty hard from April all the way through the first week of November. So I had no problem shutting it down, but we did not have wonderful facilities at Iowa when I first got there. Like we had this really janky putting room in the field house, and it was like above a racquetball court. And it was just like someone grabbed some AstroTurf from Home Depot and like drilled a few holes in it and put a couple mirrors on the walls and said, "Here's your putting room." I go, "Oh my." So that was one of the places where we would do short game. There was a casino course at Riverside where they had those indoor to outdoor garage bays where you could actually hit golf balls in the wintertime, but we would only go there maybe once a week. So our ability to hit like legitimate golf shots in the wintertime was close to zero. We would hit a few golf balls in the football dome, but you could use limited flight golf balls and actually fake golf balls too, because you can't hit a real golf ball. Otherwise you'll puncture the dome. And then all of a sudden, you lose a couple scholarships, who knows? But
there's no
right after we graduated, Iowa built a great indoor facility for the kids. And it's probably a 4,000 square foot facility, locker rooms, lounge, big putting green, and then 3 garage bays with TrackMan, Foresight, all the technology you could possibly want. So it was a challenge for us, but I also enjoyed getting away from the game. Like I have no problem coming up to Chicago right now and shutting it down for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and just getting in the gym and trying to get my body back for a couple weeks at a time. That's something I've always done, and I don't mind doing to this day.
Hell yeah. I think a good break, especially more mentally than anything, is good for golfers. Like you grind too many weeks in a row and it just gets too old, and you can't really wrap your head around it. So I pretty much asked everything. Spence, do you have anything else? I was just going to ask about your schedule this upcoming season. Like, what's it look like for you?
Next thing I got on the books is the Valspar Monday qualifier, because we're in the middle of a 5-week break for some stupid reason in our schedule. So we have our next event is the week of March
It's like 23rd, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. It's the last weekend of March. Yeah, the 23rd is when they go to Savannah. But the week before that, I'm going to do the Valspar qualifier for the PGA Tour just to play in something. I have a wedding in Brazil the week of the Savannah event, so I have to skip that. And the next time I'll tee it up is in Chile on the Korn Ferry Tour. So then we have Chile, a week off, Masters week, and then we're in Arlington, Sarasota, and Huntsville, Alabama. How about that trio? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I noticed too, like, what do you think of the whole Korn Ferry, like, international, like, you're playing in Chile, and like, is that inconvenient? I'm sure it's pretty cool, but like, is it kind of a pain in the ass?
Yeah, it 100% is. Like, beginning the Bahamas is not fun for, I mean, it's fun if your accommodations are right and you can plan it early, but the guys coming out of Q school have to book stuff so late sometimes. It's expensive. Just if you go to the Bahamas, that each tournament's going to run you at least $3,000, no matter how you cut it. But that being said, they're fun places to go to. Honestly, some of the harder golf courses we play are in the first couple events. So I feel like that's conducive to my golf. But not everyone agrees with me. I think Panama's a wonderful place, great golf course. Colombia is one of my favorite cities in the world, so I have no problem going and playing golf in Colombia. And then Chile, Santiago is a beautiful town, and I'm excited to go there as well. I haven't been there in about 8 or 9 years, so it'll be good to get back.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, good luck in that Valspar Monday. We follow Monday Q info on Twitter, and he's like a great follow.
Yeah.
And it's insane the scores they're shooting. So that just had my one question is like, what's the lowest score you've ever shot, or what's like the greatest round you feel like you've ever played?
I've shot 61 a few times. I shot 61 in a U.S. Open qualifier, which is really useless. Like, I mean, you could have shot 68 and been totally fine, but I went and shot 61, and they weren't even handing out checks at this stupid event because it was local qualifying. So that was kind of useless. I shot another 61 when I was playing in a friendly round right before the Masters with some buddies. And then my lowest round on tour is 62 a couple years ago at St. Augustine. So arguably, if I were to say my best round I've ever played, I shot probably 5 years ago in second stage of Q school in Alabama. Nonetheless, I shot 66 to get through on the number in second stage to get into finals, which is the most important thing. So I wasn't playing well, and I kind of pulled a rabbit out of my hat there. And I still look back. I was like, man, how did you just do that? Like nothing was nice, but you just got it in the hole. And sometimes that's what it's all about.
Just take some stones, man.
Totally, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, we're definitely gonna have to say what's up. Are you playing in the Ascendant this year?
Oh yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. Come out. We'll hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. And dude, good luck at the Valspar Monday Q. You've got some fans in us now. We're gonna be fucking blowing up your Twitter. We're just gonna be tweeting at you.
Yeah, why not?
We're gonna watch it. We're gonna get you back. We're gonna get you active on there again.
I'm fine with that. I probably need to establish my presence again. Let's do it.
We'll help you.
Yeah, we'll help boost that up with our 1,300 massive amount of followers.
Woo!
We'll just be in your replies on everything. We'll just be like, great tweet, Vince. Like no matter what it is, just whatever take, we'll be like that.
One more Scotch, Spence. Come on, you can do it. Yeah.
Have another margarita, Spence.
Yeah, seriously, Spence.
Yeah, you have a little rough Friday night. We'll just get you on the Scotch. Saturday, Sunday, go fire a couple of 68s, and you'll be fine.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Well, dude, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. We appreciate it. You can follow Vince on Twitter at Vince Let me see if I get this right. Vince _ India.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
He's
I
like,
had
you
it
can
up.
follow
And,
him on. I don't have it pulled up.
no, it was pulled up, but I was too busy scrolling through all the great tweets he's had over the years. So
Okay, that's fair.
it wasn't at the top.
Another
But yeah,
ghostwriter.
appreciate it, man. And good luck. And we're definitely going to be following along all season. But maybe we'll see you in the Valspar, dude. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So we'll see. You know, gotta make all the putts, and hopefully you just catch lightning. You know.
Hell yeah! And then
Hell yeah.
we'll play a little me and Spencer best ball against you at Butler.
Ooh, all right. I
Yes.
love it. We'll get you guys some shots. I think you're gonna need them.
We'll work that out.
Yeah, liquid shots as well.
100%.
Love it. Well, thanks again, man. We appreciate it. And good luck this year.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Hope to see you very shortly. All right.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
You too. See ya.